Hey guys, it's Ninah of GetYouSomeFree.life, and this is the Sister Circle Summer Solstice School. And unfortunately, tonight's broadcast began with a few technical difficulties, but it's okay. We're working on it, and we can just go with the flow and not stress about it. Okay, so I think I may need something to hold this camera steady, so give me a moment. All right, power to the short people. There we go. Okay, we're gonna rock and roll with this. All right, so thank you all for joining me for the second night of the Solstice Summer School. I want to give a quick recap of what we talked about last night in regards to the root chakra. So in dealing with the root chakra and learning how to become grounded so that we don't create from a place of crisis mode and we don't create more fuck shit in our lives, we are going to talk about the sacral and how that connects to the root. When we're feeling unsafe, everything else in our bodies and our lives are a reflection of that. When we're not confident in the decisions that we make, when we don't know who we are, what we are, or how we serve the world, then everything else is misaligned. And so we end up getting results that we really don't want or doing. So we're going to talk about how the ungrounded root chakra connects to the sacral chakra, which can be so off balance that it creates addiction, obsessions, suppressions, and depressions. Okay, all kinds of crap that can happen in our lives. So let's begin with our opening. I want you to ground yourself wherever you are, whether you're standing, sitting, washing the dishes, on the toilet, doesn't matter. I want you to enter your heart space. You can close your eyes, that makes it easier. And we're going to inhale and exhale 3 times, and you're going to repeat after me. Okay. We're going to inhale, exhale slowly, inhale, exhale slowly, inhale, and exhale slowly. Repeat after me. I am safe. I am loved. I am responsible for my creations. My creations are a reflection of how safe I feel about myself. My creations are safe with me. I want to pause here and make sure that everyone has the broadcast link, so I'm going to copy this if I can to share it on my Facebook page, just to make sure that everyone gets in the room. All right, so I'm letting everyone know that there's a new link since we're experiencing technical difficulties. Okay, and then we are going to get started. All right, the link has been sent and everyone else can catch up. So I want to talk about the sacral chakra, and I'm not going to go into all of the technical terms for the sacral. Right now, I'm just going to call it your creation space, okay? The sacral deals with our sexual organs, our reproductive organs. And notice I said reproductive, and we talked about reproduction last night and how we reproduce what we are until we decide to change that. And so in dealing with our reproductive organs, they're not just connected to our physical organs, but they're connected to our spiritual selves as well. And so again, while you're busy getting your summer body ready, let's get this spiritual summer body ready so that you can flow in peace and create the summer that you really deserve, the summer that you really want to have. All right, which is the summer is the sun is high, you know, the nights are shorter, the days are longer, and it reminds me a lot of Leo season. That's ruled by number 5, the 5th house, creativity, fun, your inner child. It deals with children, just exuberance. The sun is always shining, whether it's behind the clouds or not. The sun is always there. And because the sun is always there, that means that the earth is always fed, no matter where the sun is. Wherever there is fertile ground and the ground touches and the sun touches it, things are going to grow, whether they're things that you wanted to plant or whether they're weeds. So in saying that, in our sacral, we are always creating. Every single day, we are always creating with our thoughts, with our words. We are a mouthful of self-fulfilling prophecies. We're creating out of the abundance of our hearts. We're using our willpower to create, not only our sacral, but we're also creating from our root. So if our root is ungrounded and it's operating out of crisis mode, then our sacral is right behind it. So I want to start with birth, all right? And so here's a really truncated story about how creation starts in regards to human beings. Again, we can't reproduce zebras. We're not zebras. We reproduce who and what we are. So we have 2 people who may be on different sides of the planet. However, vibrations speak louder than words. They travel above and beyond any man-made border that's out there. It doesn't matter where you are going to attract the things that you are creating on the inside. There's a song that we used to sing in church. Something on the inside is working on the outside. Oh, what a change in my life. So whatever is happening on the inside comes out. If you're eating wrong, if you're eating and your body's telling you, I don't like dairy, you're going to get inflammation from the dairy, which includes getting acne. It includes having a stuffy nose. It includes a massive mucus production. And so you have a lot of children who are dealing with asthma and bronchitis, or adults who are developing asthma and bronchitis because they're putting something in their bodies that their bodies can't process. For me, it's gluten. I have celiac disease. So my body says, absolutely not, we can't have that, because we mistake it as an attack. And then because it's an autoimmune disease, my body begins to attack itself. So why put things in your body that you can't have? Okay? And whatever you put in your body is going to come out. It is going to come out in your saliva, through your tears, through your skin. There are people who drink alcohol, and sometimes you can't tell by someone's physical appearance, but you can smell them. You can smell the alcohol coming out of their pores. There are people who have hormonal imbalances. And again, if that's on the inside, our hormones don't kind of hang out on the outside and say, hey, I'm the hormone, monstrous, or the hormone monster. See me, smell me, feel me. It's on the inside. People can't necessarily see it. But when the hormones are at play and your body begins to exhibit what hormones are in play, little girls start to develop a bosom, boys start to develop beards, our voices change. That's something on the inside working on the outside. So if you're not supposed to put certain things in your body that your body is rejecting, why would you do that spiritually? So getting back to this bottom, this sacral right here, I'm going to move back so you can see where I'm rubbing. So it's your womb space. And guys, before you had testes, before they dropped, they were in the space for ovaries. You could have been a girl, but what happened was something, a code, a DNA code, a chromosome on the inside of the sperm. Once it melded with the egg, that's what you became, because that was what's on the inside of the sperm. And then the egg had its own DNA code, and so they merged. So let's get back to this creation story. Man and a woman hanging out, different sides of the planet. The guy may be in Ireland, the woman may be in Chicago. And some way, somehow, he may have met someone and they said, you know what, you should come to Chicago. And someone else said, you know what, you should go to this Irish convention with me. All of a sudden, they're in the room, they're minding their own business, but the vibrations are speaking. And so are their pheromones. their hormones are realizing, hey, there's something that I am attracted to, something that I like, something that will turn me on, something that will expand me. I feel a shift in my body. And you could be talking to someone and really engrossed in the conversation, and all of a sudden you turn to look to see what's calling your attention. But a lot of times we're unaware of that. So we think, oh, I don't know what happened. We just met. It was kismet. It just happened. No, you are literally called to one another. Because what we're doing at all times, since we're creating, we're going, I need. I want. I wish I had. My desire is to have. We want to have something. There are a lot of women who have had children, and a lot of men too, because they just wanted to have something that represented them, that looked like them, that carried on their legacy, no matter what their legacy was. Okay? So these two people attract one another, and they may not necessarily know what it is, but they like each other. And when you like something, you will find all kinds of ways to find something in common with the thing that you like. I like Ferraris. The reason why I like Ferraris is because, and for men, it may be attached to a hot woman that was lying on the Ferrari when he stole his father's magazine to masturbate to, because it turned him on. Something about the image turned him on. It connected with him. A woman, oh my goodness, I love me a man in uniform. I was really attracted to men in uniform because my father wore a uniform. My uncles wore uniforms. And so, because that's what I was familiar with, that's what I looked for. And most of it was unconsciously. So, when these two people get together, they're so focused on the attraction, they're not necessarily focused on what's real, what's behind the attraction. Sometimes the attraction is literally just infatuation, or what we call lust. And sometimes it's actually the real thing the first time they meet. The thing about it is, if you're not aware of the vibrations that you're sending out, if you are not aware of what you're creating, then you become disillusioned, or not disillusioned, but you become deeply illusioned and glamored by what you see, because that's what you want. When a 3-year-old wants something, or even I'll say a 6-month-old, when a 6-month-old baby wants a toy or wants your car keys, they want them to explore them, to put them in their mouths. This is how we first learn how to explore our world. We want to taste things, feel the texture. What is this like? Is it delicious? Oh, then I like it. Is it pungent? I may not like it. Or, strangely, I do like that lemony taste. So this child was reaching for the keys, but you want to let the baby know, sweetie, there are all kinds of germs all over those keys that would not be good to put in your mouth. A 6-month-old is unaware of the consequences of him putting germ-filled keys in his mouth. So he is going to become upset and want to fight or hold on to those keys because it's what he wants, and he can't see the consequences past what he wants. So oftentimes we say we want a relationship. Remember, it's relating, but we don't understand the consequences behind what we really are desiring. This is why there's the saying, be careful what you wish for, because you have to weigh the consequences. Speaking of consequences, I teach my children, you can enjoy the consequences of your choices, or you can suffer the consequences of your choices. It's up to you. But when you don't take the time to weigh the consequences of your choices, then usually you're choosing to suffer. So these two people meet, and they're focused on what they have in common. And on the surface level, what they have in common is they both read comic books when they were little. They both like watching He-Man. They were both sent to boarding school, and they kind of loved it. And they both picked their noses behind the scenes. Oh, there's a little secret I can share with you. I like to pick my nose. You like to pick your nose too? Oh my goodness, awesome. Or some kind of weird thing that pulls them together. And so they get together, and of course their friends are like, oh my God, you make such a great couple, because their friends have also been attracted to them based on their vibrations. You are the company that you keep. When I was in high school, I did not know that I was in an abusive relationship. All of my friends thought it was so cute that this guy would pick me up, and he knew I was afraid of heights, so he would pick me up over the 3rd floor stairs, hold me over the railing, over the concrete floor, 3 flights up, until I kissed him. That's cute, y'all. Oh my God, girl, that's so cute. He really loves you. No, what he's telling me is that the only way that I know how to get love is to take it. And the only way I know how to give love is to force it on you. But again, my friends, we all had the same vibe. That was the company that I kept until I learned better. So the two people are hanging out together. They're meshing their lives together. And at some point, they feel safe enough to share the things that they don't share with the outside world, okay? Because now this is an intimate relating, okay? The vibrations have changed. I feel like I can trust you. Now on the flip side of that, it's always, I can see it happening all the time. And there's a book that I'm going to recommend that you get after this, which explains it much better than I'm going to explain it tonight. It goes into much more depth. But one of the things that we don't pay attention to, we pay attention to our synastry. And in astrology, there's a synastry chart, you know, how we vibe together, what do we have in common, and then there's a composite chart. The composite chart says we're going to put everything and bring it to the middle. What lessons are you here to learn from one another? What difficulties are you going to have to overcome? What commitments are you going to have to make in order to grow together, to become what you're trying to do together, one? You're trying to merge to be one. And that's what happens when people have sex. Speaking of sex, everything is sex. Everything, we're always creating. Sex is friction. And we're always creating friction. When people start arguments, a lot of times, they just need to masturbate. Just being honest. When people are cantankerous, or they come in and they shut down and they're emotionally unavailable and they're seeking attention from someone, they want someone to say, what's wrong with you? So that they can do the, nothing. They want people to probe. They want more friction. They need to relate. But the only way they know how to relate is in an unhealthy way. So when that one person who has gotten her summer solstice body together, her chakras aligned, sees that and she knows, I'm not going over there to talk to her because the attention that she's seeking is not the attention that I want to give her. I value my time more than that. Then it's, she doesn't like me because she didn't even check on me to see if something was wrong. Well, for the most part, nothing is wrong. But because that sacral is off kilter, now you've created an addiction to getting unhealthy attention. One day my son did something that he was not supposed to. It wasn't a big deal, but he came to me and he said, Mom, you didn't even notice that I did this. I said, I did notice. And he said, well, why didn't you say anything? I said, let's think about this. When people around me try to get my attention in a negative way, what happens? He said, oh, yeah, usually they don't stay in your life long, unless you're married to them, and then you deal with that too. I said, exactly. I said, what gets my attention, son? He said, oh, all I had to do was just ask for attention. Mom, can we talk? Can we go on our date? Absolutely, son. But doing something that you know that you're going to get in trouble for is not the way to get attention from me, because I do not want to build that unhealthy relationship with you, because you are going to seek that out in your future partnerships. And I'll be damned if your future partner comes to me and says, Mom-in-law, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening here. He's holding me over the stairs and asking me for a kiss. I don't want to do that. I want to have him to change his vibration, because if he can't attract that from me, he'll try to attract it elsewhere. So since everything is sex and we're talking about friction, going back to the off-kilter, the imbalanced sacral, now that these two people trust each other to share their secrets, they both discover that both of their fathers left before they were born. And then they discovered that their mothers was kind of like, I'm not sure if I wanted you, you were unplanned. And they discovered that because of that hurt, they both had crazy relationships all throughout their childhood. They both had fears of being abandoned, and they both had fears of being unwanted, fear of rejection. Now at this point, neither one of them will go back to the beginning of when they met to see the signs, not just the synastry, but the things that were also saying, warning, 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 hold on, this may not be exactly what you want, okay? So going back to when they first met, the guy may have said something like, I mean, you know, I like you and all, but I'm not looking to commit right now. And so the woman replies, because she wants him to stay, because her father didn't, oh, that's okay, I'm not looking for commitment either. Or vice versa. But now here they are together 3 months later, and they've moved in with one another. Why? Because they both felt so alone and abandoned and rejected that here's somebody that wants me. So I'm going to do anything to keep them in my life. My mom had to drop college while pregnant with me. Hi, beautiful. Yes, things like that, because when we create out of crisis mode, things begin to fall apart in our lives. And I'm just addressing that comment. So they haven't gone back to the initial meeting where there were warning signs. She didn't notice his body language was a little standoffish. He may not have noticed that her body language was a little clingy. Again, vice versa, it could be either or. They may not have heard their friends say, girl, I don't know about that one. I mean, you know, they're nice and all, but I heard that, you know, he loves them and leaves them. He don't wife them. Or I heard that the last guy that she was with, she just disappeared on him. Now, she may not understand why she disappears on men, because she would never do that to someone, because her father did that to her. He may not understand why he runs. No, I'm not that kind of guy, but I did tell her in the beginning that I'm not ready for commitment. Meanwhile, they're still snuggled up in bed, caressing each other because they desire that touch. Their vibrations are screaming, please, somebody love me, hold me, don't leave me. And when they decide that they're ready to become more intimate and have a deeper level of friction, when they want to, as the Nutty Professor, the grandmother and the Nutty Professor, have relations, now they're coming together to reproduce something. But they can only reproduce what their vibrations are putting out together. So now, here comes the sperm. And the sperm is saying, oh my God, we have been released. We've been waiting for this. Let's go find this target. Let's go find this egg, okay? This is our modus operandus. We need to make a baby. Shut up. I'm going to make the baby. No, I'm going to make the baby. It's like 50 million of them running around trying to make the baby. And the woman's body says, oh my gosh, okay. Whew, his pH balance is off. He has a horrible diet. He doesn't sleep well. He drinks a little bit too much and stays up late at night. I don't know if we want to release the egg. And the body says, but we have to. This is what we do. And we want to have something from him that's permanent. So if he leaves, we can still have a part of him. Okay? So the woman's body releases the egg. But because we're smart, our bodies are smart, the sperm fall asleep. The woman's body emits chemicals where the sperm go night-night. And so after the egg is released, after a while, the weak sperm, sperm with two tails, two heads, the malformed sperm, usually they die off. And at some point, the woman's body says, okay, we gotta let him in. Yes, this is what we do. We're gonna create this. And so finally a single sperm enters the egg. And I'm pretty sure at some point he said, haha, bitches, I made it, you didn't. Sorry, suckers, there's no next time for you. When the sperm enters the egg, a shell is built around the egg, and there's a spark of light. And scientists think, they believe that it's caused by zinc. But there's a spark of light, and all of a sudden what happens? Creation, the cells start multiplying. But you have half the cells from the father and half the cells from the mom, or half the DNA from the dad and half the DNA from the mom. You have these two people who feel abandoned, rejected, neglected, and desperate to have someone to stay. So they come together and they reproduce a crisis baby. Or they reproduce a baby who starts off with a vibration of, woo, I hope they keep me. I hope we stay. I don't know. Let me try this implantation thing. And so at some point the woman finds out she's pregnant. And now we have the guy, go ahead. And now we have the guy with commitment issues who says, wait, what? You're pregnant? Oh, we've only been dating 6 months. And I know we moved in together. I know that you have my bank account info and I have yours. And I know that we walked around and kind of played like we were fiancés. But a baby, that's like not just an 18-year thing, a lifetime thing. And so here goes the woman, wait a minute, what do you mean? You're gonna leave? Is that what you're saying? No, I didn't say that, but I don't know if I want a baby. Oh, so now you don't want our baby? Again, this could be vice versa. It could be the guy saying, oh, you don't want to keep our baby? And the woman says, no, I didn't want to commit to you. Okay? So, yes. And so now this baby gets a miscarriage trigger. Thank you, Tasha. Exactly. That's where I was going. And so the baby's going, so which way do I go? I don't know what to do. What's happening? And so they talk to their friends. And because their friends are operating on the same vibration, you should stay together. Oh my God, no one stays together anymore. I remember back in the day when everyone just stayed together. We forgot the part to add that, because they had to. And so they decide, well, we'll try to work it out. And the baby says, whew, okay, still not sure though. The woman becomes deeply connected to the possibility that having this baby means that they are going to be together. She may start pushing marriage, or this guy may seek advice and he may begin to push marriage. Now they're trying to commit when they really did not want to commit to one another. And so they make this commitment to merge, and they have this beautiful baby. And 9 times out of 10, if he doesn't leave before the baby is born, he's gonna leave soon after. Or the mother may realize, I really didn't want to have a baby by him. He needs to take care of this baby. I need to go live my life. I wasn't ready. What do we have here? Her original intent and his original intent. They're both going to try to run away from this new responsibility. It's a responsibility, but they reacted when they met one another. They did not respond to one another. If they had responded to one another, it would have been, oh, you're really cool. Maybe we could be friends, but this person is definitely not going to be my mate. I will definitely not mate and create and reproduce something with this person. But we can hang out a bit. I'll see where that goes. I'll see if we can elevate one another. No, they reacted to their hormones. They reacted out of unawareness. And so because of that, now they have this baby and they are completely unaware that this baby needs their ultimate attention. You cannot abandon a baby the moment it's born. It literally needs everything that you have. But because these two people were never committed to one another in the first place, because they weren't committed to their highest good either, which is why they attracted one another, Now we have what is called chaos. Now we have a crisis mode. So they're trying to stay together because they don't know what else to do. But the baby is like, I'm confused. You guys are arguing all the time. He's not coming home, or you're staying out with your friends and you have me out with your friends. This is chaos. I need a stable place to be. So what do you think that baby is going to grow up creating? What do you think this baby is going to reproduce? When I was 9, actually I think it happened before then, but when I was 9, I know one of my teachers brought to my mother's attention some pictures that I was drawing in class. And the pictures had a lot to do with death. And I ended up having to see a psychiatrist because they thought I was suicidal. When I go back into my childhood, I really wasn't suicidal. I wanted the chaos to stop. I wanted my parents to stop arguing. I wanted my father to not tell us he was going to show up at 3 p.m. and for us to have to beg our mom to stay up until 3 a.m. because he's coming. I wanted my mom to tell my father no, he couldn't see us, and to find us a new dad. These are all things that a little hurt girl wanted. Nothing was together. There was no balance. And when there's no balance, what happens? When you walk into a room and there are kids throwing shit on the wall, there's an elephant in the room twerking, and somebody playing a trumpet, and someone's blasting Buddha at full volume, you're probably going to walk out of that room because it's chaos. Your vibrations are going, hey, wait, no, we don't operate this way. It's too much. But then you have the people who were raised that way, and they'll ask you, where are you going? You don't like this? I mean, it's cool. This is life. This is it. So we have people that say, oh my God, when I met him, he wasn't like that. I promise you he was. When I met her, that's not how she presented herself. I promise you, she did. But because you were so unaware of yourself and how you felt about yourself, how you valued yourself, how safe you were inside of yourself, you drew someone else who was on the same level as you. It doesn't matter if he or she had more education, better experience. Well, they came from a two-parent family and I came from a single-parent family. You don't know that that person may have had two parents in a home, but that the mother was still a single mother in a marriage because the father was not really emotionally and mentally present. Or vice versa, okay? Anything I say, I want you to switch it around. I don't want you to think I'm just picking on women or picking on men. I'm talking about the vibration. So now you have all this chaos going on, and now you have a baby, which is probably you, who's trying to figure out why they're reproducing this. Something that I want to address in regards to something that I went through, I see other women going through all the time. There are a lot of women that I've seen lately saying, I had my dad, so why did I choose this person to co-create with, to reproduce with, and then they left because my father was there. If we go all the way back and we're honest with ourselves, I'm pretty sure there were times where your father was not there, and it could have been mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. It could have been that because so much was going on, they left their bodies in the home, but their whole selves were somewhere else. And it does not mean they were with another woman or anything like that. They just could not remain present. And when we see that as children, that's what we look for. So for women who say, well, or for men, pardon me, who say, my mom wasn't like that. My mom cooked every day, she did this, she did that. But you may have forgotten that your mother also suffered from major migraines and she had to lie down a lot. Or that your mother stayed in her room in the bed a lot and asked you to do things for her because you didn't realize that your mother was depressed. You may not have realized that your mother worked 2 jobs, came home, made dinner, fussed at you guys a little bit, and that seemed like love. And so you want your woman to do the same thing. You need her to fuss at you to get you to do something because that's how your mother operated. But you had a good mom because she was there, right? And you also had friends whose mothers weren't there. So we build this image of, it's a survival mechanism. If we saw our parents for who they were, and we did not have enough awareness to accept them as they were, and to know their history played a part in that, their foundation played a part in that, and to not take it personally, well, by golly, we'd be some healed children, wouldn't we? But we didn't have that level of understanding. So a lot of us grew up covering for our parents because love covers a multitude of sins. I'm going to read some of the comments. Emotionally and spirit. Yes, absolutely. So you guys get what I'm saying. So here you are trying to figure out why you're choosing the same person in a different body over and over and over again. For some people, they'll try the opposite sex, thinking, I'm done with men, I'm done with women, I'm going to choose someone of the same sex to relate to. Maybe I won't get hurt this time. Energy does not have a gender. It does not have a sex. It doesn't have a physical gender. It does not have a physical sex. The divine masculine and feminine have nothing to do with a penis or a vagina at all. So, trying other things, all you're doing is continuing to draw the same vibration to you, which causes us to become deeply frustrated. And then, for some of us, we'll become obsessed with trying to find that perfect mate. For others, we'll start to suppress our love, which is such a horrible thing to do. I'm done with people, period. There are people that choose to be asexual because they've been so hurt on both sides that they go within and they close off. Let's talk about your sacral and peace. So if you feel safe in your root chakra, then your creations are going to come from a place of safety. But when you don't feel safe, when you do not feel like you're taken care of and you're supported, how are your creations going to be taken care of and supported? When two 16-year-olds make a baby, they have no idea how this baby is going to be taken care of or supported. No, them saying, well, we can get on food stamps, or I can get a job, or my parents are going to help. They really do not know what it takes to support mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially this baby, because they're being supported and they're not being supported from a place of balance. Okay? So here's our sacral. And for some of us, when we were little, the sacral, we had our peace taken from us, snatched from us. Someone touched us in a way that they were not supposed to. Someone violated our sacred peace, our sacred space of creation. So we have these spectrums. There are two polar opposite ends of the spectrum. On one hand, we'll have a little girl or a little boy whose sacred sexuality blossoms way too soon. And so anybody can get it. Anybody can get my creativity. Anybody can have access to everything that makes me feel like I'm whole. You can get a piece, and you can get a piece. And then we have the other child that realizes, oh my God, I don't even know what this, you hurt me so much. I don't have any peace. My creativity is off. You've screwed up my dreams. I'm having nightmares. I'm afraid. Anytime anybody comes around, I become small to protect myself because I do not want you to hurt me again. And because family members are so busy trying to scratch and survive, they don't realize that their child's body language is screaming, help. So this child shuts down their sacred sexuality, and it becomes hard for them to open it up when it actually is time for them to embrace it. I was the little girl who shut down I was a little girl who put it all the way out of my head. I was a teenager. I wasn't thinking about sex. It kind of had to be forced on me. I had friends who were doing it. And I had so many girls telling me stories about how they lost their virginity, how it hurt, but it kind of hurt so good. I had girls telling me, you need to do it so that you can become a woman. But I'm watching them. After you had sex with that guy, you guys didn't stay together. Or now you're pregnant and he's not there because he's 16, he's 15, he's 17. He had no idea what he was doing with you. You had no idea that you all were creating something together. You were reproducing what you knew. And once you reproduced it, you realized, oh, I don't like that. That doesn't feel good. So for me, I didn't want to lose my virginity. So I planned my session. My mom is watching this. Mom, I love you so much, but sex is part of life. And yes, I did it. But you know by now because I have your grandchildren. So I planned it. I chose the date. The date was special and sacred to me. I chose the time, the exact time that was special to me. And I had my high school sweetheart to make a mixtape. Y'all, Moments in Love was on repeat. It was looped on a cassette tape. That was the song. And also another song I won't mention, but it was the 90s. I'm just saying, okay? So I made sure that it was as romantic as it could be in his bedroom before his father came home and before I had to get home. And I have to say, for me, it felt empowering because I felt like I was in charge. But looking back, it wasn't something that we did together. It was a defense mechanism. I didn't want to be hurt. And for me, in the environment I was in, I was supposed to have sex. Or I was just going to remain a kid forever and no one would want to have sex with me. I had such low self-esteem that I didn't even think that anybody found me attractive. So, what type of person did I attract? For the young girls who were what people try to call promiscuous, they don't say, oh my goodness, that baby's hurt. Let's heal this baby. They don't say that. My first time was great too. The comment disappeared, but I love that your first time was great because you don't hear a lot of stories like that, okay? So, I lost my point, but it's okay. I'm gonna go back and figure it out. Because I went back in the moment. That Moments in Love song is still in my head. You remember you have to stop in the middle and flip the tape. It's not super romantic. But here we are, the two of us. I drew someone who had low self-esteem just like me. And so we created a relationship based off of, can you fulfill the lack in my life? And I can fulfill the lack in your life. The problem is, neither one of us knew how to voice what that lack was so that we could heal. And no one around us saw it. You had half the people saying, do it, have sex, create some fuck shit because that's all we know. We're creating it, so you should create it. And then we had the other side, oh my God, if you don't get married, you're gonna burn in hell. Oh my God, no teenager should be having sex. We don't teach sacred sex. We don't teach sacred intimacy to our children. Our society teaches them to just say no, just like drugs, to not allow anybody. When I was little, our vaginas were called pee pots. Don't let anybody touch your pee pot. Yeah, but cousin, you let cousin so-and-so do it, or uncle so-and-so, or step granddad, or the babysitter do it. And also, while you're telling me not to let anybody touch me, I see you allowing a whole bunch of people to touch you. Or I never see anyone touch you. When you grow up in a house and you do not see intimacy, what are you going to reproduce in your future household? When you grow up in a family where you see perverted intimacy, what are you going to reproduce? What are you going to turn a blind eye to when it happens in your home? Okay? So because we're not necessarily taught the sacred art of intimate touch, we're not taught to first learn how to touch ourselves, find our favorite spots that we like to be turned on with. Do you feel your ears? Does that do anything to you? Feel your shoulders, rub your collarbone. Young lady, young man, take a mirror, look at yourself, explore yourself, get to know yourself. That's a sin. Oh my God, you just want these babies to go to hell. No, hell is not knowing what you like about your own body. Hell is having years and years of horrible sex, never orgasming until you're 31 or 45. So many women never orgasm, or men who think they're orgasming and they're really not. There are those stories because no one taught them how to feel safe with themselves no matter where they are, and that they are a natural creator. We are natural creators. We're always seeking to create something. Some people like to create beautiful food art pieces. Some people like to paint. Some people like to make sex toys. We need those too. So in dealing with our creative energy, when it is not brought into our awareness, and when we don't know that we get to control that, we reproduce everything but the beauty that we're supposed to produce. And there's beauty in everything that we produce, but it can be a little off skew. This is our birthing place for men and women. It's our birthing place. The thing about birth is there are times where when we're so off balanced, we miscarry. We miscarry our dreams. We miscarry our businesses. Some people will start 5 businesses and they just won't work out. But this may also be the person who, you all love to call me when I'm recording and message me. I'm talking to you now. I was 29 before I discovered how to control my orgasm. Yes, and that should have happened during puberty because that's what that time is for, okay? I see nothing wrong with the mother giving her daughter a bullet at age 14, 15. And actually nowadays it probably needs to happen before. I know little 11-year-old girls who know more about sex than I do, and I have 3 children. Yes, boys are taught that they can masturbate, or even from their mothers. I just don't want to see it. They're given more freedom than girls are to explore their bodies. And so we have this horrible imbalance of creation. So when we're trying to birth something and things are off kilter and you miscarry, whether it's a baby or a business or whatever it is that you want to produce, a lot of times this comes from the woman who also had 5 miscarriages, or the man whose sperm was so acidic, so pH imbalanced that they caused miscarriages. And then sometimes we abort our dreams. Sometimes we're good and pregnant, we're ripe, we're ready. Okay, I'm gonna start this vlog. Okay, I'm gonna start my business. Okay, I'm gonna start this company. And I also want to expand. Oop, might be twins in there. I wanna have 3 bus lines. Yeah, I wanna do that. Oop, triplets. And all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, I've never had triplets before. And every person in my family that has had triplets, they turn out crazy as hell. I don't know, maybe that's not for me. Until you abort that dream. Or you get to the point where you're about to give birth and you go back into your conditioning. I am not safe. I am afraid that I can't bring this forth. I'm about to lose my apartment. They're gonna repossess my car. I really have this dream and I know it could work, but I keep looking at what everybody tells me to look at. I have to have my ducks lined in a row first. And so you end up having a stillborn, okay? Or there are times when you're so into this fantasy that you can produce and reproduce without balancing yourself, that you have what's called a phantom pregnancy. You have a phantom creation. You have people who walk around constantly lying about their accomplishments and they ain't did shit. You have a lot of homosexuals who do that. A homosexual is a person, it doesn't have to be a guy, but it's usually a guy who sleeps with women or a woman who sleeps with men for a place to stay and a meal. Or to lie on someone's clean bed sheets because they were not taught to buy their own linen. Or to just be in a clean space. My mother taught us that if your room is dirty and you don't want to be in your room, what makes you think somebody else will want to be in your room? You're escaping and you're coming down and hanging out in my room because it's clean. So we seek balanced vibration, but if we don't know what that looks like, smells like, tastes like, feels like, if we've never slept with peace, if we've never seen a live birth and know what it entails, and know the beauty and the pain of it all, what are you going to reproduce? So I want to take a break and I want to answer some questions if there are any questions. So I'm going to take a 2-minute break and then I'll start and get to what the balance part looks like. So if anybody has a question, please feel free to ask it now. I know everybody's typing. Click, 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 click. Creation, man, it's a doozy. It's what we do all day. And when you become aware of that power, you are going to seek to be grounded and rooted in yourself. So I don't see any questions coming up right now. So I'm going to continue. So what does a balanced sacral look like? Okay, what does it feel like, more importantly? And what kind of creations come from that? It's easy to say the opposite of what I just talked about. But again, if you don't know what that looks like, a lot of people know that something is off. I don't know why this isn't working out. Every time I try to do something, it fizzles. I don't know what's going on. You start to kind of dance around the fringes of self-awareness. And the more you dance around the fringes of awareness, the more you gain some rhythm. And when you gain rhythm, your vibrations start changing. So for some people, they find a life coach. For other people, they go to astrologers. For some people, they go to church. For other people, they join a group. And it doesn't matter what group it is. Because remember, familiarity can be an addiction. So you'll have some people, well, my father was an alcoholic. I'm going to go to an AA meeting. Well, my mother was abused and I'm in an abusive relationship. Let me go to a shelter and find out why I'm still getting abused. My mom used to run away by traveling when I was a kid. So maybe if I travel 70 states, maybe if I drink a jar of holy water and try to turn the sauna up to hotter, then I'll figure out how to heal myself. But in order to heal ourselves, we have to find someone who is actively on that path. Notice I didn't say healed. To find someone who is actively on the path of healing, because healing is not linear. Healing is like this. Because we age and we grow and we change and we move to a different location and we have a different job and we're gaining more experience and more wisdom. So as we gain more experience and more wisdom, our eyes begin to open more. We begin to shed old beliefs that are no longer ours. We begin to work on our root chakra and realize, oh, the foundation that I have was based on both of my parents coming together in crisis mode. I do not have to be a crisis baby walking around anymore. It is time for me to grow up. It is time for me to assert my individuality and learn who I am, what I am, and how I serve, because everything that I create is going to come from that. I can be a rose coming from the concrete, or I can be a rose bush born from fertile ground. It is in all of us to seek balance. It is in all of us to seek fertile ground to grow from. It is for all of us to seek wholeness. So we start looking for it. And sometimes we think we found it. Then we realized, oh, it was kind of the same. This is kind of the same energy, but a little bit different. Like I said, with my relationships, I realized my level of awareness grew and was expanded each time. So that now I can recognize that energy coming. When I see it coming, when I smell it coming, it doesn't even have to be in a man. It could be in a woman. It could be in a child. Oh, let me check myself. Am I feeling safe in my being? Am I feeling responsible for my creation? I do not want to create that in this situation. And you can come back to center, to remember who you are, the universe embodied, to remember what you are, unconditional love expressed, and to remember how you serve in love, for love, by love, with love. And you can say, oh, that person called themselves throwing some shade on me, spilling some tea. I know what you want. You want sex. You want some friction. You want us to sit here and argue so you can get your rocks off, because that's the only way you know how to get attention and how to be turned on. But because I love me first, which allows me to love you just the way you are, I will not meet you in that place. I can compassionately speak with you, or I can compassionately walk away. Okay? To walk away from something that does not serve you is compassionate to yourself first and foremost. To build a boundary that says, I will not create the bullshit with you. I will not create crisis babies, whether it's a crisis business, because I've created crisis businesses. Oh my God, we need some money and we have this talent, let's do it. And it never works out. Nothing great comes out of deep crisis, because you're not making a real decision. And our power comes from being able to make a decision, or what we call a choice, between creating imbalance or creating balance. Where my Libras at? Because you all know that when you're trying to please other people, you're not pleasing yourself. But because you were taught to please yourself first, that's selfish, you're so off balance that you then try to please other people. And round and round and round we go. When does it stop? Only you know. When you are ready to sit with yourself, whether you find a counselor, oh Lord, you're gonna leave her in the 7th house, girl. So whether you find a counselor, a preacher, a teacher, whether you go skydiving to face your fears, whether you go and get in an isolation tank, whether you take mushrooms or ayahuasca, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. When you are seeking balance, guess what? What you are seeking is seeking you. And sometimes we have to go through multiple imbalanced relationships in order to finally get to the balance. This is why when children are young and they're making mistakes, they're really not making mistakes. They're experimenting. They're gaining experience. They're learning how to grow up. We don't allow them to experience something, then they cannot develop wisdom. We're so busy trying to make sure that they don't get hurt, that they don't go to jail. Sometimes going to jail is good for people. It just is. Sometimes spending time away to realize this is not the life I want. I was imprisoned by my imbalance. I was imprisoned by my lack of feeling safe in myself and knowing who I am. I was imprisoned in the fact of believing that I came from two people who created me, but I was not a creator in myself. Or I could only create with other people who were in balance and who addressed my lack. So I always hung around people, who stole and robbed and all that. Why do you hang around them? I don't know. Yeah, you do know, because it feeds you. And the only way you know how to be fed, how would you like to be fed? What kind of order do you want to place with the universe? What kind of order do you want to reproduce and give birth to? It's up to you. with the sacral being off balanced, look at this card. This is my favorite tarot deck. This guy, this magician, is standing in his power. What would he look like if he wasn't? Now, the first thing somebody may say is he might have saggy jeans, or he might look like a bum, or he may be wearing a suit but be a pervert behind the suit. This person is standing in their power. They know that they have everything that they need to produce the life that they want to produce. But when you don't have that, you sound like a whiny freaking rat. What's going on? Oh my God, he won't pay child support. I'm not gonna give her child support. Y'all produced it together. You knew if he didn't do something for you, he really wasn't gonna do it for the baby. I am not blaming women and I'm not blaming men, because I've been through that. And it is because you lack awareness that you did not see the person for who they were. You know why? Because when you lack self-awareness, you lack being aware of yourself and the things that you need and the things that you're creating. Everything goes back to the self, and the self starts at the root. So when the root isn't taken care of and nourished properly, this is where the seed lies. I think it's a really big dishonor to say that men carry the seeds. No, bro, you carry the fertilizer. This is the garden. This is the fertile ground. You fertilize it. We have the egg. We have the seed. The egg is the seed. The egg implants itself into the uterus. Sounds like a seed to me, okay? The sperm penetrates the egg. Sounds like fertilizer to me. So when you have imbalanced fertilizer walking around, fertilizing imbalanced gardens, what do you think you're going to grow? If you think about it that way. So as you go about your week, think about the seeds that you want to plant. My sisters and fellas, if you're watching this, think about the ground that you want to fertilize. Is it fertile? Can it support what you want to reproduce? Is it stony ground? She always got attitude. She never want to give you none. Give me my money first. Is he watering your garden? I'm supporting you in your dreams, my love. I got your back. When two people come together out of a lack of self-awareness, they usually don't say, okay, I know I like you and I know you like me and this is really great. However, every at least 6 months or so, can we come together and make sure that we're still on the same wavelength, that we're still vibrating together, that we still want the same things, that we want to expand our garden the same way, or maybe truncate it, or maybe now we want a Japanese garden instead of a Western garden, or maybe we want some bonsai trees over here and a bird feeder over here. Oh, you don't like the bird feeder? Okay, well maybe a bird bath. Will that work? Yeah, okay, cool. We're staying on the same page here. We're growing together because you've created this garden of love together. Versus, he was supposed to hold a garden yesterday. She was supposed to prune it. They don't never do so and so and so. I can't believe. And you find yourselves having the same arguments that your parents had or your caretakers had or the people that you grew up watching. I have a friend who talks about her neighbor's marriage all the time because her parents weren't married, but they shared custody. So she thought that was normal, that parents share custody. She thought every kid went to their dad's house on the weekends and stayed with their mom during the week. But there was a married couple that lived next door, and she said they argued all the time. So she thought that when she got married, she was supposed to argue with her mate so much that they would split up and share custody. tight. Talk about deep conditioning. That was a part of her foundation. And that's exactly what she did. And at some point she realized, wait a minute, something about this isn't right. I remember having an argument with one of my spouses, and I realized that we were arguing in the same way I saw my parents argue when I was 3 years old. I remember that argument verbatim. It was not a good argument. I remember the apartment. I remember what it smelled like. I remember our landlord. I did not like her. I remember the component set that I had helped my father put together. At 3, probably wasn't help, but I remember sitting down and him placing the needle on the record and hearing Karen Carpenter's voice. I remember that. I remember my mother. I was afraid of her because she was so angry with my father. But I wasn't afraid of my father because I wanted to protect him. But my father's vibes, that's what he always looked for. Again, my mother was the masculine energy and my father was more of the receiving, the feminine energy. So I was afraid of her and I tried to protect him. And in my marriages, I became afraid of my spouse. But at the same time, I tried to protect them because I'm seeking wholeness. So I remember me and my spouse had the same argument almost verbatim. And I did the same thing that my mother did, and he responded the same way that my father did. And I went, wait a minute, hold on, this is crazy. This really happens? Childhood trauma really is so deeply embedded that you recreate that shit over and over and over again. I'm in a different city. This is my second husband. I thought I knew better. We're doing well financially. We have everything we need. Life is supposed to be fantastic. But neither one of us knew how to reproduce anything different. So as you go about this week, if you have not reached out to find what balance looks like for you, I implore you to. You do not have to book me. Go and see a therapist, a counselor, your pastor, whomever. Go sit with yourself. Go and do some mirror work. But please, I implore you to seek balance in a healthy way and search out what that healthy way looks like for you. But do not try to reproduce that which you see. Create from a place of safety within yourself. That is the only way that you are going to be able to heal your sacral, by sitting down and saying, yes, I closed off my sacred sexuality, and now I'm ready to explore that in a healthy way. There are plenty of practitioners out here that can help you with that. Or yes, I don't want to say that the chakra is open or the chakra is closed. I want to say wide and narrow. We kind of want it to be we want it to be in the middle, not kind of, we want it to be in the middle. So for the sister who opened wide up, it's okay to say, but I was told I was a whore or a slut. I was 8 and I had size C breasts, and that automatically made me a whore or a slut. That was not my fault. I did not ask for that. This was someone else's vibrations that they were projecting on me, because a lot of times people try to tune little kids to their vibration. This is why predators groom children, because it's not innate for a child to want to be with an adult sexually. When you hear a man say the 4-year-old wanted it because she was wearing a little bitty bathing suit, and you find out that he groomed her, sis, you are not responsible for that. What you are responsible for is coming into the awareness that giving yourself away is not healthy, because I know that you're not getting what you want, which is wholeness. You can't piece off things and call it whole. You've taken the pieces away. Get your pieces back. And when I say pieces, I mean get your peace, P-E-A-C-E, back. And you can have peace if you're willing to fight for it. That's an African proverb. And the only person that you're fighting for peace for or with is you. It's you. Sit down, light a candle, take a spiritual bath, and call your pieces back from whomever you gave them to because you thought they needed it more than you, or you thought you weren't worthy of keeping them so that you can reproduce the wholeness that you know you were born to reproduce. Transmute the word whore, become a sacred whore or a sacred slut. Whatever you need to do to come back to yourself so that you can feel safe enough to be responsible for your creations, do that. I have a class. It's called Self-Loveology. And we can explore that. You can go to my website. I'm not pushing my website. I'm not even going to say what it is. I'll post it in the comments and you can find it on your own when you are ready. But you have to be ready to do the work. I don't work with anyone who's like, I'm not sure about this and that. I need you to say, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this. It's time for wholeness. It's time for me to gain my self-agency back. It is time for me to walk in transparent authenticity. I have a testimony and a story to tell. And in order for me to get there to help somebody else, I have to become aware of where I am missing pieces, where I am not feeling safe, so that I can heal. Because when I heal my root and heal my sacral, then my solar plexus gonna be flexing. So I'm gonna use this opportunity to let you all know that Tasha Ariel of TashaAriel.com is going to be one of our presenters tomorrow night at 8:30 here on YouTube. And she's going to talk about getting your solar plexus flexing, boo. Ow! She has solar plexus flexing oil. I use this oil. It's a lovely anointing oil that I use to bring me back to center in regards to my willpower. But I always have to go and check my root and my sacral first because it really makes no sense to go out of order. Everything is done decently and in order. So again, wrapping up, I want you to ground yourself within yourself, your amazing, beautiful self. And I want you to repeat after me. I am safe. I am loved. I am responsible for my creations. I feel safe about myself. My creations are safe with me. I am a mouthful of self-fulfilling prophecies. I no longer abort my potential. I no longer give my amazing ideas that come from my inspiration away and let someone else adopt them and take them from me. Those are mine. I get to keep them. I refuse to carry something to the point that it dies inside of me and I still have to birth it as a stillborn. I refuse to continue to walk around with phantom creations that someone told me I should do because they projected their fears of doing it onto me. I am a creator. I create what I speak because the power is in me. I love you all so much. Yes, I know I've never met some of you, but my sister, trust me, if you're watching this, we share some vibrations and we're here to grow together. We're here to become whole together. We're here to heal continuously together so that we can begin to feel safe enough to reproduce and create and form and shape a life of orgasmic exaltation. I want you to get you some free by any means necessary, okay? By any means necessary, and it starts with you. It starts with being real with yourself. So get you some free every day, in every way, by any means necessary. I love you so much, sis. Get out of your own way so you can create. Mwah. I'll talk to you all tomorrow when we get our solar plexus flexing. Ow. Peace, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.